So we've got attorney Richard Alexander, one of the best in the Bay Area, Alexander Law. So you want to talk about no-fault law today in Florida?
Correct, and uninsured motorists.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, just one of the intangibles of this show, I'm always amazed about the other people that you have on the show.
Yeah.
Because I get to learn a lot.
Exactly.
You know, there's a reason we have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yes.
We're supposed to do twice as much listening.
I like that.
So, Joseph, thank you. I just take away a little piece of something from your other guests.
Yeah, it's really cool. You know, being the host for over 5 years now, you know, it's been really a pleasure just learning from all the different folks I'm interviewing. You know, having the opportunity to talk to some of the city leaders, the politicians, and the celebrities that we have on the show, and it's a pleasure as well. So, I want to learn more about uninsured motorists today. Tell me more.
Well, let's first talk about what is the law in the state of Florida.
Okay.
You know, the state of Florida has something kind of a misnomer, and that is no-fault insurance. And a lot of people, I'm talking like a great percentage of people, have no idea what that means.
Right.
Because they literally think that, well, no fault literally means that.
Right.
That it doesn't matter who's at fault.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. And the reason that I want to talk about this today is because I teach at night, and a lot of my students ask me about what that actually means. And what it actually means is that in the state of Florida, everybody has to have at least $10,000 coverage, which is called PIP, personal injury protection.
Yes.
That's what you need to be legal in the state of Florida.
Okay.
Okay. And now, what does PIP actually mean? Well, it means that for the $10,000, you're going to be covered up to 80% of your medicals and 60% of lost wages. But if it's just PIP coverage, you can see that the state of Florida hasn't set it up so that it's, favorable for the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give you an example of that. And PIP does not include pain and suffering.
Wow.
PIP does not include body damage or property damage. So it's strictly for medical and lost wages, and then 80% of medical and 60% of lost wages. I'm going to break it down to show you how the consumer could really, end up eating it on something like this.
And they're not, that 10,000 is not going to go far if they have the minimum.
Well, wait till I give an example of this.
Okay.
Now, what Florida no fault actually means is that, let's say you stop at a red light.
Yes.
And someone rear ends you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that means that person that rear ended you is negligent as a matter of law.
Yes.
So you're hurt. You go to the emergency room, and let's say you run up a bill for about $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of the accident, you're out of work and you lose approximately $3,000 in lost wages.
Yes.
Okay. So you are not at fault, correct?
Correct.
You stop at a stoplight. So who are you going to look to help you pay that medical bill and that lost wages? Who are you going to look to?
The person that hit you.
Incorrect.
Right.
In the state of Florida, you have to, by law, go through your PIP.
Through your own insurance
you have
company
to. You
first.
cannot go through the at-fault driver. And when I mean at-fault, I mean the person that actually hit you.
Right.
Okay. So now remember, 80% of medicals
Mm-hmm.
and 6% of lost wages. Let's say you have a $1,000 deductible. All right? So you have to pay that no matter what. You have to pay that $1,000 deductible even though you were innocently stopped at a red light.
Yes.
All right. So what's 80% of $2,000 medical?
Going to be, what, $1,600?
$1,600. What is 60% of $3,000 lost wages?
What is that?
$1,800.
$1,800.
Okay. Now remember, we started off with $2,000 in medicals at the emergency room,
Mm-hmm.
and $3,000 for lost wages. So you're out $5,000.
Right.
Well, what does the law entitle you to? $1,600 and $1,800 for a grand total
$3,400.
$3,400.
Mm-hmm.
But what's your deductible?
1,000.
Let's minus that.
Mm.
So what do you get paid? What check do you get from the insurance company?
$2,400.
$2,400 on a $5,000 claim.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and there's nothing you can do about it. Not a thing, because that is Florida no fault.
Wow. Yeah, that's a tough situation, man. You got to go through. And you also have the 14-day rule. Does that come into play there too?
Yeah, absolutely. And they did that several years ago. But they did that to try, it's funny. The irony is they did that in order to root out the PIP fraud that was going on in the industry. And, when I saw some videos of what investigators would follow people, and the videos would show them crashing their cars into trees, and they would jump out of the car at the last minute.
Wow.
And then claim, bad back. There's not an MRI in the world that's going to show a bad back.
Right.
I got pain in the lower back, and no MRI in the world is going going to say otherwise.
Wow. Yeah, so people were using the system, creating fraudulent claims, and that so they tried to crack down on that. And by the way, if you just joined us, I'm Brandon Brimes. I'm your host here of the show. We're talking with Richard Alexander, Alexander Law, local attorney here in Tampa Bay. So yeah, there's fraud everywhere you look, man, and you know, kind of reminds me of some of the pill mill. You know, they would investigate those pill mills where people coming in and basically getting handouts for whatever they types of edibles they wanted. You know.
Yeah, that was actually Attorney General Pam Bondi. That was one of her babies.
Yeah.
As far as the pill mills in the state of Florida, because it's insane.
Yeah, it is.
You know, the opioid epidemic and the deaths that were a result.
Yeah.
You know, it was rampant. It was
and
insane.
Florida's a leading state in that, isn't it?
Yes, it is, actually.
Yeah.
You're right.
So kind of a bunny trail there. But, you know, for people locally listening to the show, what's your area specialties? Who do you want reaching out to you, in other words, through the show? Who can you help?
Well, obviously criminal defense and personal injury cases, a motor vehicle accident specifically.
Okay. So criminal defense, personal injury.
I specialize in DUI law because that is, you know, Florida has, you know, quite the reputation. We have about 21 million people.
Yeah.
DUI is an equal opportunity crime.
Yes, it is.
You know, it knows no socioeconomic, you know, traps.
Sure.
You know, judges, cops. Tiger Woods was just sentenced.
Yes.
You know, late last year.
What did he end up getting?
A DUI.
I mean, what was his sentence?
Minimum mandatories. You know, mandatory sentencing on DUI. There's no discretion from the prosecutor or the judge.
Wow.
By statute.
Well, yeah, we need more of that in this country. I mean, I saw one of these Facebook messages going around from a friend of mine said that Congress is proposing. I haven't checked this to see if it's true, but basically where, you know, them or their families don't have to pay student loan debts back. I mean, all these special things for Congress and senators, you know, people that are, you know, serving, but, you know, and they're tenured after the first term, like all these different things that, you know, giving themselves preferential treatment versus what an ordinary consumer or citizen would get. So
yes.
Yeah, so some of those things are great to be in place, because if not, somebody's going to spend a lot of money, have the right attorney, whatever the representation is, and then work their way out of getting those charges.
Correct.
Yeah. So,
I did want to go on and talk a little bit more about the no fault policy.
Yeah, we got about a minute left in this, and if not, we'll hit you in the next segment.
Yeah, let's wait to the next segment, because the next two that I wanted to talk about are exceptions to PIP protection.
Okay. So we're going to talk about exceptions to personal injury protection when it comes to a motorist claim.
Correct.
Okay. And we'll probably follow up with some DUI talk. I want to talk about that. You know, I think consumers out there have a little misnomer or questions also about, you know, if I get pulled over, should I take the breathalyzer test or not? Maybe we'll talk about that, criminal defense, personal injury, when we come back. All right. So I want to go back to, we were finishing up with attorney Richard Alexander. Richard, so we were talking about DUI. Like, what's the deal with the DUI? Like when people, you know, when there's a lot of, you know, people say, okay, if I go ahead and blow, then I'm going to set myself up for potentially hit that .08 mark.
Right.
And if I do, you know, so if I withdraw, then I'm giving up my driver's license for a certain amount of time.
Right. And I just want to talk a little bit about the driver's license issue, because it's critical in the state of Florida that has really no means of public transportation.
Right.
So a driver's license is everything.
Yes, it is.
In this state. If it was in New York, you couldn't care less if they suspended your driver's license.
Right.
Right. The problem with the driver's license comes in is when you actually get one.
Yeah.
And if you recall, I had Leo read on the driver's license.
Yeah.
Whether or not anybody knows this, anytime you get a driver's license in the state of Florida, whether you know it or not, you have just signed consent to take a field sobriety, you know, test as required by law.
That's right.
And right on the bottom, I'm just going to read the bottom of my driver's license. Operation of a motor vehicle constitutes consent to any sobriety test required by law.
Yes.
So what the state of Florida does is says, well, listen, you don't have to give a breath sample, but if you don't, we're going to suspend your driver's license for a period minimum of 1 year.
Wow.
18 months on a second refusal. And state of Florida has gone one better. If it's a second refusal, that's now a crime in the state of Florida.
Wow. So that's a big decision. Now, the flip side of that is if you're close, if you're, you know, in your mind, if you say, man, you know, I didn't eat much, I actually did have 4 or 5 beers, whatever that number is for you and your ability to handle alcohol, and you do blow and you're over the .08, then what happens?
Well, if it's .08 or higher, you are legally DUI.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you're under the influence of an alcoholic beverage.
Yes.
Okay, that's two different concepts, because you can be arrested for DUI and never give a breath sample.
Mm.
And you can be arrested for DUI and never do field sobriety exercises. It could be what's called a double refusal. Doesn't matter. The law is under the influence to the extent that your normal faculties are impaired, or 0.08.
Wow.
So you notice you can be a 0.08 and not have your normal faculties impaired.
Right. Wow. So it's interesting. So when that happens, though, if you do get the DUI, I mean, right then, now your license is gone as well.
It will, it will be suspended
at some point. Once the the litigation or that trial plays out, and then you also have criminal charges at that point. Is that a criminal?
Absolutely. It's a misdemeanor in the state of Florida.
Yep.
And the problem with DUIs really is the sentencing. And let me give you an example. If I have a restriction on my driver's license that I have to wear prescription lenses, if I'm found to be driving a car without my prescription lenses, that's a crime in the state of Florida.
Wow.
Violation of DL restrictions. I could literally be handcuffed and taken to jail over not having my eyewear.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as a DUI. The problem is the DUI sentencing is brutal in Florida.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's not going to feel like a misdemeanor when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Plus, you get the mug shot on all those.
The mug shot.
I mean, that's the big thing nowadays.
Stays on your driving record for 75 years.
What? That's amazing that they even had to write 75 years. I mean,
and
that's
you cannot
sentence.
Yeah, that's
and you cannot get it expunged.
Wow.
By law.
Yeah, so it's not worth the risk, guys. If you're out there, saying, "Oh, maybe I can make it," don't even think like that. I mean, it's an Uber, it's a Lyft. Come get the car the next day if you drove there. Think ahead. Utilize some limo services. We've got a great limo service that's a friend of the show, Tampa Limo and Car. So yeah, that's the thing. You try to justify it in your mind, and then it ends up biting you later. Could happen to to pretty much anyone out there. So.
Agreed.
Richard Alexander, give us a top tip, nuggets of advice, maybe some parting words of wisdom.
Well, I would say if anybody out there listening has car insurance, don't even think about having car insurance without uninsured motorists.
Okay, yes.
It is critical in the state of Florida particularly, but if you hit somebody or somebody hits you and they don't have any insurance or you're underinsured, the only thing you can look to is having uninsured motorist coverage.
Yes.
And the thing is, you have to specifically ask for it from your insurance company. Don't ever assume you have You have to sign a separate policy with your insurance company for uninsured motorists or underinsured motorists.
Yeah.
It's critical. We've had to turn down numerous people that were legitimately hurt because the person that hit them had no insurance. And they had the basic coverage, and there was nothing we could do for them. And we had to turn them away.
Yeah, you got to do that. We talked about this in the past, I believe, and I contacted my insurer, and I said, hey, do I have it? I made sure I had it for sure.
Absolutely. It costs nothing when you think about what are the benefits of coverage.
Right. And I think that's a challenge that people have when they're shopping for different insurances. They want to go off the premium based on the premium. Well, who's got the cheaper premium? That's not the best decision, right?
No, absolutely not. You're absolutely right. And find out what covers. See if it does have a collision that covers property damage.
Okay, so diving deeper.
Absolutely.
The next question is, okay, what's the collision coverage?
What are you actually buying?
Okay.
Absolutely. But uninsured motorists, if you have a car, and you drive in the state of Florida and you don't have that as part of your mandatory coverage, you're making a serious mistake.
Yeah, absolutely.